When we look at the Web3 gaming today, 3 out of every 4 games failed in the last 5 years, according to CoinGecko. Now we have a season of TGEs, and many of these games, after the launch, they never return to the original price. What's the reason for that? How can that be improved? How you as a retail investor can identify which ones are good and which ones aren't? So stay tuned and we're gonna deep dive into it in this video. Hello everyone, I'm Željko and welcome to Crypto Greek channel. So I also wrote an in-depth article about this topic, so if you prefer to see it in a written form, you can click on a link in the description below as well. So firstly, if you look into the crypto markets in general, we had a meme coin season narrative. Yeah, we saw Trump coin pretty much launching and reaching 30 billion valuation really soon. But that's one of the exceptions of the coins that doesn't have fair distribution, and it isn't that high probably because it's officially launched by Trump. But this meme coin season narrative actually created a perceived feeling of fairness for the investors where everybody has equal chance, and even though it's not like that in reality, people are feeling in that way. For the people that are not present in the crypto markets like 24/7, for the people that don't use some advanced tools to have early entries and things like that, it's the same as for the people that will be buying Trump coin with their credit card. So it won't be really good for them and they will probably experience losses if you look in the longer time frame. Another thing, and people usually try to avoid speaking about this topic, is that majority of the people in crypto are actually desperate for money. They're desperate for every cent they can extract from the markets. And the worst thing is that the worst ones are actually large KOLs, large YouTubers that are charging 5 figures to projects to do some tweets or maybe some shorts on TikTok and something like that. And then both these KOLs and the project owners will dump on a retail, which is really sad thing in my opinion. From the other side, when we look at the Web3 gaming, majority of the games are small, many of them lack some deeper storyline. The games are often very short, like maybe 5 to 10 minutes each, and many of the games are actually PvP oriented. In this gaming environment, game devs often look at what happened with meme coins and they are trying to use similar practices, creating that effect of fairness. So they're doing TGEs where they pretty much offer the token in exchange for bringing higher awareness to their game and hopefully acquiring more users. But so often it happens that the things doesn't go in a direction in which they would like to see them going. The reasons for that is that game development is often quite costly and many of them are actually lacking some funding. And from the other side, many of these games are actually using outsourced studios and many of them are not developing these games by themselves, which often leads to having more bugs in the game and slower progress and slower development. Combination of these two things in crypto markets and in Web3 gaming leads to a scenario where everybody is trying to position as higher on a TG's leaderboard as possible, poorly for the financial interest. So that pretty much means that they would often drop tokens immediately on a market, that there would be bots farming 24/7 pretty much, and this reduces allocation for the real users, for the people that are actually interested in the game and that want to continue playing it. At one moment in Pixels they realized that 70% of the players are bots, so they had pretty much dropped all of them as soon as they identified the issue. To combat these things, game developers were trying to create different mechanisms that would pretty much combat these situations and prevent people from doing these things, but this pretty much created another issues. So one of them is like they tend to reward NFT holders better in comparison to other people. But the big problem with this is this discourages the new player that want to try the game once they realize that they can compete, especially if the NFTs have some in-game stats that are stronger than the people that Don't this discourages new players to continue playing the game, and often they will quit the game playing the game, and they will quit for the old times because they will realize that the structure of the game doesn't allow them to be competitive and to be near the top, and many of the people that are playing want to do so. Another issue that I can see is actually increasing lately is that many games are imposing insane playtime requirements. So pretty much if you have a game that lasts 5 to 10 minutes each, if you want somebody to play like 4 hours of your game, it might be interesting for the first day, 3 days, even a month, but after that they become boring and they start hating both the game and themselves. So I'm not sure if this is the right route to go. Also, if you look at the NFT holders that invested $100, 1000 bucks into NFTs, often it will happen that they just don't have that much time to play games, so they will be in inferior position instead of being in advantageous position. And these things happen in other areas of your life as well. Probably it often happened. It happened to me that something that I loved, I try to turn it to a job, and when I turn it to a job, I actually maybe I don't stop loving it, but the love for that definitely decreases. So it's something to be careful of, and I think this shouldn't go into the excessive playtimes. It should maybe stick on at max 1 hour per day, in my opinion. This applies to many things in life in general. If you start overdoing something, you will start hating it eventually. And often it can happen that maybe you have some hobby which you try to transfer to a business, and once it turns to business, you love it way less than you loved it before. And this is because now you're forced to do it and you can't do it whenever you want and how much you want of it. Another issue that might occur is if you have a TG, you might acquire more players, and if you enforce a huge playtime for them, they might encounter some frustrating bugs which you would maybe have more time to improve and fix before more people experience it, and it becomes frustrating for them and they actually stop playing. Also, as people are playing more, they will expect more patches, upgrades, maybe some new content, and they will always want it to be done in a direction that they want, and every person will usually have different preferences and you can't satisfy everyone's taste. So this is another possible threat that diversity in expectations makes it even harder for developers to meet everyone's needs. Another issue which many of you won't think is an issue is that many games started rewarding NFT holders of other communities, and while this seems appealing at the start because it will attract more new players, again in majority of the cases you will end up with more extractors than the players. I really hope that some game will pull the stats for this and see how many of these people that got some tokens during distribution actually play the game after that. So what can be done better? I already see some games implementing some of this stuff, and I think these things are great, but obviously we need more improvements to create successful and sustainable TGs. So pretty much the first thing that I can see lately is like instead of having one large season, often games create some kind of mini seasons that last maybe 1 day, 3 days, or they separate it in each week and the rest of the progress. So pretty much if you are absent for maybe 3 days, 7 days, you can still catch up during the other seasons and you won't be missing out that much. And it's some of the good practices that I see lately. Another thing that I actually already mentioned is many of them started creating NFTs that are pretty much with the same stats as for the NFT holders. This pretty much allows even Web2 players to play the game without making them feel that they're in disadvantageous position. The last thing that I don't see so often is that many of these games will require you to do stuff daily. Some of them even come back every 8 hours or so, which is not appealing for many people. I would like to see transition in a direction where like you have weekly energy, you have weekly quests more than they're focused on a daily. And yeah, I can understand that they want to see more unique wallets, more transactions and things like that. But again, if you're forcing that of players, you will have a lot of casual players that just won't feel, this is for me, just because they will feel like they're failing consistently, and people like to have a feeling of accomplishment and progress and not feeling, oh, I missed another day of progress. So what is the solution? In my opinion, maybe the best solution is having no TG at all. And yeah, it might sound counterintuitive from the revenue generation perspective, but in this way, developers would have enough time to gather the feedback from the users, improve the game, see what's good, what's bad, and they would be able to do it without creating additional selling pressure, which I think is often a problem in a Web3 space, because once you have the downward spiral with the price, it's very, very difficult to get back attention and possible investors to your game again. I think this is the reason why so many people don't look at the older Web3 games, and people often forget games that were launched in 2019, 2020. They're looking at new and shiny stuff. In my opinion, this approach would lead to more sustainable growth. Even though the start would be slower, it could lead to the sustainable growth in the longer run. I'm sorry, and I know that many will feel offended by this, but so often I feel that the TGEs are done because of inability of the game to attract the users and people, and this is mostly because the game is just not good enough. The best marketing for the game is creating a good game, and then you have people that are playing the game and that are advertising the game to their friends. And I remember when I was a kid, like literally everyone around me know about when the next Final Fantasy or when the next Resident Evil is coming out, when the new Dota map is coming out. So this is what we need. We need that level of excitement in a Web3 gaming, and not people constantly speculating, is it worth buying this NFT, is it worth buying this or that coin. We need to stick to a gaming segment. At the end, games aren't meme coins, and you can't look at the number of players as you're looking at a number of holders of a fart coin, for example. A game shouldn't resemble early alpha version with aspirations to reach millions of users, and this is why we are not there yet. I would love to hear your thoughts on this topic and how we can improve Web3 gaming in general, so feel free to comment down below. Thank you for staying until the end, stay strong and healthy, bye!